Morning, everybody. I often think that the best thinking happens in response to good questions. So our question for this morning's session is emotion at work credible? If so, why? And if not, why not? My worry is that emotion at work isn't credible. My worry is that emotion at work is something that is actually, what I'm going to use the term as uncredible. It's something that we don't really talk about, that we don't explore the power of, we don't proactively plan for it, and we don't openly think about and build around what emotions are happening in the workplace and why. Now, I find that really interesting because emotions are actually there for our own welfare. Our emotions have evolved over time to keep us alive and to enrich our lives. And in which case then, why would we not talk about them at work? Why would they be uncredible at work? And in which case, if we don't talk about them, actually, they're doing us harm. Are we doing ourselves harm by making emotion at work uncredible? Are we actually de-enriching, if that's even a word, our lives in some way or some form? Now, I think we do, because otherwise, why would something like Simon Sinek's video about this idea of 3 circles and starting with why and purpose really engage a whole load of people behind it? Also, why would the state of emotional health and mental health in the UK workplace be as bad as it is if emotion at work was credible? So I was also really interested in about, well, you guys are all from finance, so what makes a credible finance person? So I asked Sarah, I asked Mike, I got some comments back, and some of those are showing up on screen now. Is it about authenticity or control or respect or decision making? But what we notice is actually emotion in an explicit way is absent from all of those things. It's implied a little bit in communicator and a little bit in courage and in sense of control, but it's always around control. Emotion must be controlled, must be managed in that way. And I think that's just really limiting as an approach to emotion at work. So that leads me to worry then, well, is emotion and finance uncredible, but also is just emotion in the workplace in general uncredible? And I believe it is. And then I also wonder then, well, how have we got to this point? How have we got to a point where emotion at work is uncredible? Because emotion is everywhere. Emotion is all around us. And emotion in particular, if we think about finance as an example, both in the financial decisions that individuals make, but also in the financial decisions that investors make. Emotion is hugely present, and there's been lots of research done into it, and I've just cited a few of them at the bottom for you there. There's a big reference list at the end, which I'll share with you. Emotion is also present between people, though. It's present in interaction. It's present right here, right now, between you and me, between people in this room. Things that I'm saying, stuff that I'm talking about is triggering emotion in you. And if we don't talk about it, well, that worries me. And likewise, emotion is also present in us as individuals. Emotion changes us physically. It changes the speed of our heart rate. It changes the amount that we sweat. You wouldn't want me to put my arms out like this right now. Emotion changes us, and we need to think about how we manage that. And one way to manage that is to make sure that at different times we take a breath. So I'm just going to pause for breath. Okay, why did I want to pause for breath? Because I was getting all excited. Emotion was rife at that particular point. Also though, because breath is something that we always have with us and we can take with us. And I want to next go into, well, how have we got to this point where emotion at work is uncredible? What is it that's happened that's got us here? Because there are lots of different ways to manage emotion at work. And I think and I alluded to this earlier on, I think there's one dominant one, which is about how do we modulate our emotional responses? How do we manage our individual emotional responses to things? And in particular, we squish them, or we push them down. So this idea of control, I must control my emotions, I must not show them, because if I display these emotions openly, I am going to be deemed as uncredible. And often emotion is then seen as this outpouring of emotion, this big kind of, emotion just comes out all at once, or it's about a big explosion of emotion, a big spike of anger or frustration or sadness or fear or offence or whatever it is. But my worry is that these big explosions are the stuff that make emotion uncredible, because what we see are these massive big spikes of emotion at different times, as opposed to a constant ongoing management of emotion to make it much more credible. And I want to get to a point where emotion is something that we explore openly, that we discuss. So when we sit down with people, we don't just say, how's your work going, or how's it going, or how are you going? We say, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? Because I want to make a shift. I've talked about emotion being uncredible, and for me it's not about a shift to make emotion credible. I want to make emotion something else. I want to do something that recognises the power that emotion has, that recognises the evolutionary history that we have with emotion, that recognises the function that emotion is here to enrich our lives and to make our lives better. I want emotion at work to be incredible.